Greetings! The purpose of this particular video is to provide all of my clients who are working on the business canvas with an option. Apparently, we weren't able to actually have a physical meeting where I explained this, so I'm creating this video so that you would have some type of resource that you can refer to understand each section and what things I'm asking for as far as content for each section. So this is the business canvas that I prefer you guys to fill out. At the top, please make sure to put your company's name and the date. Insert the month and the year. The month and the year. Now, the canvas. The purpose of the canvas, as I shared with you all previously, is the outline. If you think about a paper, you write an outline first to get all your thoughts down, the key, high, this kind of bullet points. And then after that, you actually compose the paper. So a lot of your feasibility assessment information will go to your business canvas. And also, as a result, you will elaborate on that information and then create your business plan. So that's just kind of the background, the concept, the steps that you're going to take throughout the process. So the very first thing we're going to look at is key partners. In this section, I'm referring to the businesses or services you'll work with to run your business. So any contractors you're going to work with, anybody you need to partner with that is going to help you leverage your company, where, financially or with an expertise that you don't already have. Financially, meaning that sometimes you can join an organization so that a partner with an organization from a business development perspective. For example, if your organization is very young, particularly if it's under a year old, startup funding is very difficult for both for-profit and nonprofit organizations. However, there are times in the first 3 years, I strongly recommend to create partnerships with larger organizations so that as you're writing grants, you can work underneath those, be a subcontractor for those larger organizations. So that's what I'm asking for you to do in this key partner side. These are people who want to leverage your company, meaning that you have more capacity, increased profitability. And then what I mean by increased capacity is when you have people doing multiple, similar things on your team, it'll allow you to be able to take in more work. So the ability to be able to handle any level of workflow. So partnerships are vital for that as well. So capacity, to increase or to maintain your workflow. Financially, if your organization is under 3 years old, it is strongly recommended to partner with a large organization so that you can get funding. Or when you partner with them, if they're going after funding, they'll oftentimes add you in those funding opportunities. The next thing is the key properties. Key properties. This is a list of ways. This list of ways your business will gain a competitive edge. So either use technology. So these are the things that you're going to do to create that competitive edge. In my personal industry, one of the things is my competitors work in silos as far as functions. When it comes down to operation solutions, they'll either do HR, or they'll focus on IT, or they'll focus on business development, but very rarely does a company address all three. So that's something that we do. Key resources. List any resource you'll leverage to create value for your customer. So this is where your qualifications come in. when we talk about the key resources, your qualifications and skill sets that your team brings to the table. So those are some of the things that are key resources. There's some intellectual capital, especially if you've created, like in my case, I've created templates for business owners. So that is key resources for me. That's a part of key resources for me. Value proposition. This is the most important part, actually. This is where we want to start. It's not only to create a clear and compelling statement about unique value your customer brings to the market. So the very first thing that I ask people to do when they're writing this piece is to specify the problem in the industry that you're addressing. Whatever's in the market that you're addressing, that the gap, then you need to specify that. Then write how you're going to solve it. Okay? And that is going to be the root of the mission statement and vision statement. Okay? That's where the mission and vision statement stems from, is this part right here, the value proposition. Next, we're going to move over to the customer relations. So in this, I ask for you to break this up into 3 areas. First, discuss how you're going to get business, how you're going to maintain that business, and then how you're going to grow your clientele. So how you're going to attract your customers, how you're going to keep your customers, and how do you plan to grow your customer base. So that this part is also equally very, very important. Customer segment. So who's your target customer? You have to identify that early on, that prototype created. It will change as you're testing different things, but it's good to start off somewhere. Secondly, we have channels. This is the most important ways you'll deliver your product or services. So if you're going to do stuff online, then you need to talk about your software, your online software that you're going to use. If it is something that you're going to do, if you're in a construction company, then you want to talk about basically how are you going to get your services from one area to the next. Trucking is a good example. Of course, we know that they'll use the vehicle, their trucks, 18-wheeler or box trucks, and that needs to be specific. How are you going to deliver it to the customer? Okay, so that's your channels. How are you going to deliver your services? Is it your services or products? I'm going to come back to this last, okay? The market force is going to be last. The revenue model, I actually have another slide deck for that. And this part is just talking about how you plan on making money, your strategy, a technique. And so there are different ways you can generate monies. And so identifying that early on really helps you get really clear about your structure. Cost structure, this is another part that's going to be done a little bit later because we have an organizational budget template that I share with you all. And completing that is going to be important during one of our sessions. So we can count up the cost, basically. For services, there are no real serious, there are COGS, which is the cost of goods sold. But the way that we calculate that is a little bit different. So cost structure is important, and we'll insert the number that we get from the organizational budget template. So these 2 things will happen a little later. The main thing I want you to focus on all the rest of these areas. Now, the market force is who are your competitors who are gatekeepers. Gatekeepers are people who basically block other people from getting in the industry or a territory. it's good to know who they are so you can know how to maneuver and work around them. So that's why that part is there. So hopefully I explained everything clearly. If not, feel free to give me a call or email me. Thank you.